Hello everyone, it's Kireth here and making a different kind of video for you today. Now I asked a question on my Discord, always a risky thing to do. I asked for people to ask me questions about sim racing and other things like that, and I promised I would answer them in the video. So I've gone out, I'm in a field, we've got the drone up as well, and I'm going to answer some of your questions. Let's start this off. So, Chargefire 1, how to improve my consistency? That's a very good question. And I do get asked a lot, is it better to have kind of one lap pace, or is it better to be a little bit slower than consistent? And I would say every day it's better to be consistent. The only thing I can say is, for every track, if you want to be consistent, you absolutely need to know your braking markers, your turning points, the dangers of getting on the throttle too early, kind of any of the apexes are not actually on the curb, those kind of things. You need to know, most tracks have, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, 18 corners. You need to know all of them out of the back of your hand. I'm going a bit off track here. So you absolutely need to know all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to be consistent, you can't take any shortcuts. You need to know the track like the back of your hands. Right, let's look at the next question. What is it going to be? Sun's out now. Basic Ollie, how do you look so sexy in the MX-5? Don't think I look particularly sexy in the MS5. Right, what else have we got? Alex Wilmot, how do you apply techniques learnt in the sim to real life karting and vice versa? That's a really good question. I've spoken about this with Driver 61, Scott Mansell, when he was doing his 24-hour Nürburgring charity race. There are actually a lot of bad habits I think I bring from karting into sim racing. So in karting, because of the nature of the engine being much smaller, you really want to keep the revs up a lot of the time. So what that's meant in sim racing is I have a habit that I'm much better at these days, but I used to be quite bad, which is applying throttle mid-corner or applying it before the apex, and basically delaying my true acceleration point out of the corner. Whereas what I've learned in sim racing is you really need to be off the throttle at the apex a lot of the time, really hit it and then smoothly get on the power on the way out. Whereas karting, you're much more on the ragged edge all the way around the corner. There's a stalk over here, very nice. Right, let's go on to another question. What have we got? McLaren Jake Dutch Izzy 95 Nissan, how do you adapt quickly between different games? That's another really good question. I would say for anyone who's trying to get into sim racing, stick with one sim and ideally stick with one car, especially if you're doing iRacing. I would get one car in GT3 or GTE. I use a Ferrari, or I would use Ferrari if I only had one car, and stick with it. But switching sims is very, very, very difficult because all of these sims are essentially have completely different code bases a lot of the time, trying to replicate driving, but actually their tyre model, their physics model are all a little bit different. I mean, even GT Sport, which isn't really a sim, is very, very, very different to Forza. I find in Forza, it's way easier to get wheel spin. The tyres are much more reliable than GT Sport. And GT Sport, it's often quite hard to get oversteer, but it's very, very, very easy to understeer, and you just kind of understeer on rails. Something like iRacing, the braking is completely different to GT Sport. F1 2021, like you have unbelievable amounts of downforce. They're all very, very different. All I can say is it's difficult to adapt. So if you want to get good at a sim, I would just try and stick to one for as long as you can. Melty SP11 says, how to get involved in esports? How to get involved in esports? Well, a lot of games these days have esports championships built into them. So I would say for GT Sport, do FIA. It's a fully blown esports championship that's available to everyone. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I had to pause. I had to think of other ways to get involved in esports. I'm not really an esports driver. I'm more of a sim racing YouTuber, whatever that is. But there's a lot of people in the Discords who are in esports teams. So I say, ask in the Discords, ask people, how did you get involved? You know, did you contact the team? Did they contact you? And ultimately, if you think you're good enough on track, then there are esports teams out there that want to have quick drivers. So definitely there'll be esports teams for you if you're quick enough. Right, let's have a look. More questions. J Bay Racing, how to not lose positions when defending and looking to overtake at the same time? Sorry, I coughed there. How to not lose positions when defending and looking to overtake at the same time? It's a very difficult one. Often the best way to be defensive is to be aggressive. So if you're in like a 3-car train, you're in the middle, the best way to defend from someone behind you is to go for a move on the person ahead. And often if the guy ahead, if I'm in the back of a 3-car train, if the guy ahead of me is not looking to overtake, I might just go in that gap and try and do 2 people at the same time. So I would say be aggressive basically, if you're in that position. Right, more questions. Got no brakes, so yellow car's really the fastest. I don't know, that's unconfirmed. Charge51 says how to go faster on a pad. Now, I'm not very good on the pad, but I do race with a lot of people who are very quick on the pad. Someone like Treviso, who's a very fast karter in real life. I think he's one of the fastest people in the West on GT Sport on the pad. I can't really give you any tips other than say, asking the Discords, asking in the YouTube comments, because there are some people that are very fast on the pad. So it's definitely not the hardware which slows you down, but I don't understand the mysteries of actually being fast on the pad. It's not very quick myself. Right, let's see some more questions. Another one from Alex. How do you set up equipment for comments, videos and mix around a sim rig? I think we'll do a separate question on that. We'll do a separate question on how to record yourself sim racing and how to stream sim racing. I think that deserves its own video. Right, let's head back. Captain Emerald, how to avoid R4M class missiles that have already locked onto my car. There is an art to not getting punted, and again, I think this might deserve a separate video. But often you can sense when someone's going to be a missile, and we joke about it a lot on my streams. When we know there's a car that's a missile, sometimes we deploy them as our own personal cruise missile to take out people ahead. You can kind of sense when someone's going to dive it, and to cut it short, essentially what you really want to do is bait them into going too deep. So bait them into going for the move, give them the space, let them go up the inside, let them go way past you off the track, and you just cut back, and then they're going to be too far behind you to do that again from the next corner. That's the essence of it, but we'll do a separate video on that one. What else have we got? Mumu, how have you perfected the art of defending? Thank you so much, Mumu, for the compliment there on my driving. I would say karting, real world racing does really help when it comes to driving defensively, because when you kart, you don't have radar, you don't have a mirror, you don't have these kind of things. So you have to just be really intuitive when it comes to defending. And there's a great feeling about defending in karting when you know someone behind you is quicker than you and you manage to hold them off and get your position that you want at the end of the race. So it's kind of an intuitive thing, I think. But I suspect if you look at some of the real world racers who do sim racing, you might see that some of them have some pretty good defensive skills. Right, let's do one more question, because I reckon the drone's going to be running out of battery. What have we got? Bear with me. From Baz, how do you send one and lick the stamp? How do you send one and lick the stamp? Well, ultimately, if you think the move's on, you just got to go for it. But make sure you go for it in a committed way. There's nothing worse than someone going for a move in a non-committed way. Kind of half-assed going there, and then there's this awkward moment about, does the other car turn in? Are you after you, sir, after you, sir? No one likes that. If you're going to commit to a send, commit to the send, and ultimately if you overcook it, you have to take responsibility that you're going to run too deep into the corner and you're just going to go into the gravel on the other side. Don't take anyone out. I think that's fair enough. I mean, racing without sends wouldn't really be racing in my opinion, so I think it's got to be part and parcel of the game. But I think we're going to wrap it up there. I hope you've enjoyed this video, some more IRL content, so I struggle with this camera. But do let me know in the comments if you've got any more questions you'd like to ask me, and I'll get out again and I'll answer them. Also let me know in the Discord as well. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.